All right, I'm going to give you a quick quiz correction here. That way you know what to expect moving forward. All right, so calculate the volume of this right rectangular pyramid. The volume of a pyramid in general is area. This is the one thing I want you to remember, right? It's volume by definition is the area of its base times the height. Okay, so it'd be length times width times height, but in this case you divide it by 3 because it's not a rectangular prism all the way to the top, right? So it's 3 times 5 times 10 divided by 3. So you actually can cancel there. It's just 50 cubic inches. Don't forget your units. That one was done fairly well. Determine the surface area of this right cone. It's all of it. So that would be pi r squared for the base plus pi rs. We would need the slant here, so somewhere on the side, right? That's your slant, 7 and 3. C squared is 7 squared plus 3 squared. C is square root of 49 plus 9, that's 58, right? So we leave it at that. This would give you 1 mark right there, just finding the slant. And then we go ahead and figure out that it's pi 3 squared plus pi 3 and the slant, which is root of 58. If you plug that into your calculator, you get 100.05 square meters. Okay, that's that. Determine the volume of a hemisphere that has a diameter of 9. Radius would be 9 divided by 2, which is 4.5 centimeters. Hemisphere, right, where volume is 2 pi radius cubed divided by 3, or 4 pi radius cubed divided by 3, all of that divided by 2. You end up with that being a 2 there. Okay, so the volume here would be 2 pi 4.5 cubed divided by 3, which in turn gives you 572.55. It keeps going, divided by 3, which would give you 190.85 centimeters cubed. Here they wanted the lateral surface area of a rectangular pyramid. So the lateral means not including its base. So we know that this is length and width. This is what we call slant 1. This is slant 2. So normally the surface area of a pyramid, of a rectangular pyramid, it's not a square base, would be length times width plus length times S1 plus width times S2. And the reason why there is no divided by 2 or anything is because to get these triangles, like this one in the front and the back, you go 2 times base times height divided by 2 to just get this triangle. So that it's almost like you're going 2 times length times slant 1 divided by 2, and these cancel out. Same here, 2 times width times slant 1 divided by 2, and these two cancel out. That's why our formula reduces to just that. And on top of that, we just want lateral surface area, so now we cancel that. So surface area is really just length times slant 1 plus width times slant 2. And that's 9 times 11 plus 10 times 8. And that gives you a surface area of 179 squared inches. Okay, there's that. Surface area of a hemisphere is approximately 39 squared inches. Find its diameter algebraically. So here you have to work backwards, knowing that the surface area of a hemi is 2 pi radius squared. So they're giving you this, so you just plug it in like that. We divide both sides by 2 pi. This cancels out. So radius, right, will be the square root of 39 over 2 pi. If you want to keep this squared here and square rooted like that to show that it's canceling out, that's what you get. So radius, to do this correctly, you're not done yet. It's 2.4914 inches, but the diameter is 2r, right? Diameter is 2 times 2.4914 inches. So the diameter is 4.98, rounded correctly. Okay. So you got 1 mark for this and 1 mark for coming up with the diameter. Backside, convert that many feet to miles, yards, and feet. So the first step would have been 19,576 feet times. We want a miles first, so we know that 1 mile has 5,280 feet. Cancels out the feet there. And there you get 3.7075 that keeps going. And this is in miles, right? So we take 3 miles out of that, the 3 whole units, and we use all of it, right, which is miles. And the next one you want to convert to is yards. So we know that 1 mile has 1760 yards. Cancel out the miles, you get 1245. Some of you are rounding too soon, right? So this is 1245 yards. And then there's 0.33 that keeps on going yards left. And we know that 1 yard has 3 feet. Cancel out. So this is multiplying, and we get 1 foot out of that exactly. So it's 3 miles, 1245 yards, and 1 foot. And so you always just subtract the whole number so that your calculator is left with all of the decimals. So it'd be 0 point whatever. And then in this case, you multiply, you get to 1245, write it down, subtract 1245 in your calculator, you're left with this. And then you go multiply 3 and you get 1 foot exactly. If this had been a decimal after all, we round it to a nearest whole number. Next, simplify. So we have an expression here, no brackets, no brackets. So you can go, 2 goes in there once, 2 goes in there 8 times. And then we clean it up right away, being very careful. So we're left with x to the 3 minus -2. And then we have y to the -2 up here minus -1. So you got to watch out for the double negative. All over 8, right? We have the 8 down here, and that is still -2/3. Then you go over here, let's combine. This is a positive, so it's really 3 plus 2. This is a positive, so it's -2 plus 1. So you got x to the 5 and y to the -1 over 8. All of that to the -2/3. I'm going to bring this down. So it's x to the 5 and it's 8y. All of that to the -2/3. Nothing left to do. Get rid of that negative exponent by flipping everything. That's 2/3 positive. And now I apply the exponent. So cube root of 8 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And there's nothing you can do, right? This has an exponent of 1, so it's 1 times 2/3 is just 2/3. 5 times 2 is 10. So it's 10/3 there, and that's your final answer. This one, you should definitely recognize that this is not a metric ruler. How do you know? Well, there should be If you're thinking this is centimeters, then there should be 10 in between, right? So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 in between, so you can't use centimeters. And you start measuring from here. So you go 1, 2, 3 full inches, and then there's 2 eighths, right? Sorry, 1, 2, 3 eighths. In this case, it's eighths, it's not sixteenths, right? And so we would do inches like that. So some of you had centimeters, some of you had 3.125, I believe. We want it like this, okay? Simplified. Most of you were missing the units. That was the biggest issue here. And then we had the formula that calculates the time in days that a planet orbits around the sun using this formula here, where T is the period in Earth in days, R is the distance from the planet to the sun in millions. In millions. So what we want in there is in millions. So this is already in millions, 57.91. Okay, so that was one of the mistakes. Most common was that. And then so you plug in like this, that number as it is because of the millions following, and we go 3 to the 2. Now, a lot of you multiplied these two together and then applied the power, and that's wrong. Okay, you technically you take the 57.991 to the power of, and in brackets it's 3 divided by 2, or to the power of 1/2, and that's 440.687. Keep, and it repeats. You have a calculator, so use all of it, right? So once you have that, you multiply that by what's in front of it, and it's 88.14 days. Okay. And then the bonus, a lot of you got close but not quite there. So you take the miles per hour. So it's almost like you have two units happening there. It's a rate. And so you're slowly going to cancel out so that you end up with centimeters on the top and seconds at the bottom. So what I started with first is I knew that 1 hour has 3,600 minutes, seconds, sorry. So the hours cancel out there, so you got rid of that. Keep going. Miles, I'm gonna go from miles to feet. That's what I did. 1 mile has 5,280 feet. You keep going. What does this do? Miles go with miles here. And then the feet, I know that 1 foot has 0.30, 48 of a meter. And that cancels the feet with feet here. So I have the denominator, I have seconds only, so that's good. Numerator, right now I'm still at meters, so I just use this one. 1 meter has 100 centimeters, cancels out the meters, so now you have centimeters at the top, meters at the bottom. You just have to be very careful how you do this, and I would suggest you multiply all the numerators like that, right? So I multiplied everything that is in the numerator and then divide by what's in the denominator, and it's only 3,600 times 1 times 1 times 1, so it just stays 3,600. So I'm going to divide my answer by 3,600, and you get 0.146, which is 15 centimeter per second. There was your bonus. You got 1 mark if you did it correctly. And that is it. Have a good one.